Welcome to episode 126 of the Binge Boys podcast, hosted by myself and Kaleigh. It's Binging Batch. We're here. It's Tuesday, Wednesday when you're listening. How is everybody? Hope everyone's week is going well. We've got a great epi for everyone this week. Do we usually open like this, or do I usually play the music first?
You just are really sad right now. Can you just go ahead and play the music?
We're excited to bring you our recap of Ben Higgins episode. I was able actually to watch a lot more of it leading up to recording, so I'm happy about that. I've been swamped, as Kaleigh has been as well. But luckily, we've got the info, and we are ready to bring you the insight. So with that horrible dad joke behind me, I am going to now drop that beat so we can get started. Letting it ride out a little bit. Sweet. Here we are. First, I want to acknowledge the question that a few people might be wondering: where am I? I am not at home because the air conditioner in my apartment complex went kaboom. And there's no AC. I got home from work today and walked in and was like, why am I hotter in here than I am out there?
Ooh.
And so apparently when my roommate was working from home, Jordan was trying to get the peeps to fix it, but it was about to start raining. So they used the rain excuse. And they were like, oh, it's about to rain. We can't do it now. We'll do it tomorrow. But tomorrow it's also supposed to rain like all day. So who knew in the last week of us living in this apartment before we moved that the AC would bust? And now I'm at my parents' house.
Like old times, you know.
Just like old times in my old
raw in there real quick.
in my old stomping grounds right now. It's kind of weird, but anyway, that didn't stop us from watching The Bachelor this week. We got Ben Higgins. It was teased last week because I think Ben was a figure on Kaitlyn's season.
Mm-hmm.
And we got Ben's season. And let me just start off the bat by saying that I really like Ben.
I like Ben too. He's a good guy.
At first, I wasn't sure. This is a bold comparison. And before people jump to conclusions, I just want to say he at first gave me Pilot Pete vibes.
Yep.
He gave me the vibe of a guy that's just like, oh, we'll just see where it goes. Kind of, like Peter did. But as the season went on, and when you saw the way he confronted drama, I just keep getting reminded that it was like, wow, Peter sucked at drama.
Dude, Peter should have not been the Bachelor. I think I'm going to say this every episode for the rest of time. How absolutely horrible that season was. And kind of going back and watching a lot of these older season recaps, it's so crazy. Like right now, The Bachelor is not what it used to be. Like it was so good. Like it makes me kind of sad that I didn't used to watch it like back at season 20, which is what we're recapping today. But it's like, wow, they went to some cool places. It did some cool dates. And as we go through the recaps of Ben's season, they got to meet some cool people and do a lot of awesome stuff. And it's like, I just feel like now I don't know what's happening. I just don't know if the producers just can't figure out what to do that's not repeating old stuff or what the issue is. But
yeah, I mean, I completely agree. I think we've made a joke or a reference about it the past 3 episodes that we've recorded here, but it seems just like old Bachelor had like the budget for like some crazy excursions. I mean, they're going to the Bahamas, they're renting boats, they get 2 celebrity stars we'll dive into later to be a part of one of the dates. It's like, where did their money go?
I wonder. I doubt it. Like I really, this is me totally making stuff up.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like I feel like they get so many influencers and stuff on their episodes now. Like, do they have to pay them or do anything like to the people now? Because back then it was like, let's just pick Joe Schmo off the street and like give him the time of his life.
Right.
And I feel like now the people that they pick, this also sounds really bad, but I feel like the more of an influencer you are on social media, the more kind of boring you are to watch, because like all those people aren't going to get excited about going to the Bahamas, because when you're an influencer, you can go to the Bahamas every other week if you want to. Like,
right.
It's just like they're kind of bland and just have a lot of money and are really pretty. And it's like it's fun to watch really pretty people, but it's losing the excitement. It's just not as great. So anyways, we can go ahead and jump into Binge season. So we'll probably just highlight a few people that were on his season that jumped on. They had a lot of interesting people with a lot of interesting jobs.
I kind of was thinking this when I was watching through it. It almost seemed like they didn't have enough content to fill the 3 hours. So they interviewed hella people this time.
Yes, they did.
So I was like, it was like at the hour and a half, maybe hour 45 mark, where Chris Harrison was like, and we're about to see who wins. And I was like, wait, what? There's a whole nother hour left. But they like really like talked to Ben for a while there at the end and kind of his scoop. But yeah, we'll get to all that.
So one person that I kind of want to point out, and like I'm bad for this, I didn't get to watch most of his season, so I got to just kind of look up and read a bunch of recaps. But they had a girl named Rachel on the show, and she was unemployed. Like that was like her job description. And I feel like now if you're unemployed, you just throw influencer on there really quick. And it's like, she's not actually unemployed. She just makes money from Instagram or something.
Yeah.
I was like, I think that's like one of the first times I've ever seen unemployed. Like you can't just make something up. But yeah, there
was a lot of interesting girls this season. I mean, first of all, excuse me, we got twins?
Yeah.
I mean, did they even expect that to work out, or were they just like, this would be funny?
Yeah, so the twins were Emily and, what was the other girl's name? Emily and someone else. They both obviously got sent home.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the way that they presented themselves, it almost felt like one of those shoe-ins from the producers of just like, be as cringy, twin, stereotypical as you can be.
Yes, it was Haley and Emily.
Yeah, that's it.
Yes, and they were getting to the point where they were like finishing each other's sentences and just being really weird.
They're just being over the top.
Way over the top. And it's kind of interesting because I believe on one of their episodes, it was like episode 4, Ben meets up with the twins and like Ben's parents. Oh, no, he meets up with the twins' parents while they're in like Vegas. And at the end of that episode, he ends up sending Haley home. Like he ends up sending one of the twins home.
Mm-hmm. Which
is super awkward. And then when, ironically enough, Emily meets Ben's parents, like way later on, not like, I don't believe, it was, because I think she made it like really close to the end. So like she got to go to Warsaw or maybe I'm thinking of a different Emily. Actually, I think I might be thinking of a different Emily. But they both get home, like sent home.
Yeah.
And don't make it that far. Was there multiple Emilys? I feel like I get jumbled with all these people. No, there was one Emily. So it was this Emily. She met his parents and they were like, yeah, she's immature. And he's like, okay, I'll just send her home then. So like they just aren't parent approved, I guess.
Yeah, they are.
Parents do not love them, which sucks. Like that's like a big top 5.
Yeah.
For any dating situation, the parents gotta love you. Or
yeah, 100%. If the parents don't love you, it's you're doomed.
Or if they don't love your parents, it's also sucks.
Yeah. It all goes with each other. I'm sure you agree. I can't. if I'm totally head over heels for some girl and I bring her home and my family doesn't like her, it's almost just like, oh, sorry. It's like, sorry, my family means a lot to me. So
it's really bad too, because when your parents start talking shit,
oh yeah,
like, I didn't recognize that before, but now that's all you hear and all you see, and now it's like, yeah. So,
oh, yeah. So yeah, 100%.
If you meet like their parents, like if you meet her mom and realize like she's gonna end up like her mom one day, and you don't like her mom,
oh yeah,
then it's like, okay, you gotta cut this one too. It's not gonna work out.
So,
but yeah, I don't think we really talked about. We're just so all over the place today.
No, yeah, this episode was kind of jumbled. They really didn't like give us a good look at a lot of the girls, like at the very beginning, as they did for the few episodes. I mean, they dove into a few girls like as the episode went on, but I'll cut right to the chase of Kevin Hart and Ice Cube.
Yeah, they like. I think it was Kayla was the first girl that got a one-on-one, and Kevin Hart and Ben picked her up from the mansion, and then I guess they went and like got condoms and went on a spa and did all this other random stuff. But it's like, it's Kevin Hart, and like before that, the season before that for Kaitlyn, she got Amy Schumer, and I'm like, these big time comedians, man, what the heck?
I almost think it was because a few years ago, Kevin Hart and Ice Cube starred in a movie together called Ride Along.
Yes.
So, and at the very end of Kevin Hart and Ice Cube's little snippet or whatever, Kevin Hart was like, I'm really glad we could have been a part of this ride along. And part of me was like, do you think that they did this for marketing for the movie at the time?
Maybe.
Because if the years line up and if the season lines up and that was like the spring, whatever year season 20 was, Ride Along could have been a movie coming out that summer.
It could have been.
So that could have been easy marketing for them.
It's so crazy to think that The Bachelor just gets so much viewing that someone like Kevin Hart is agreeing to go on there to give advertising,
promote his movie,
sponsor and promote and stuff. Crazy.
Yeah, I know, right? Kind of wild.
Yeah. Oh, and then like I think it was that same episode or something, they decided to take the girls on like a date, like a big soccer date. So they take 12 girls to the Coliseum and they go and they play soccer with like USA women's soccer players, like including the good old Alex Morgan, which is like my favorite. She's badass. And it's like, what? Like Kevin Hart, Alex Morgan, Ice Cube. There's still more. Like, how are there so many celebrities? Like, and there were so many concerts too, I feel like, during his season. And there was so many helicopter rides. Did you notice that? It was like everyone who wanted to go had to be on a helicopter. It's like, what the what?
I was like, how many helicopters does ABC have?
Right, exactly. It was like anything, literally anything that involved JoJo had to involve a helicopter. It was crazy. It was like, oh, you want to go to the gas station to pick out a candy bar? Here, we'll give you a helicopter. And yeah, I think if you just need a big recap of Ben Higgins' season, it was helicopter rides and famous people.
Yeah. So then we get a few in-depth looks on a few girls. Before we get to the end, we get a look at three girls. We get Jubilee, Lace, and Olivia. First off, let's get Lace out of the way. Lace was like the definition of like, I'm trying to think, there wasn't really a girl in Peter's season that was like Lace, but Lace was just the most insecure. She was almost like Kelsey. Kelsey was super insecure, always crying.
Yes.
Super self-conscious about like, oh my God, Peter hasn't talked to me today. He must not like me anymore. Like, that was Lace. Like, she literally like dug herself her own grave. Ben didn't even like think anything wrong of her until like she just like started breaking down, and he was just like, why are you breaking down in front of me right now? I think it's time to say goodbye.
Right. Yeah, that's one thing. Like if you're I don't know. If you're like major clinger, yeah, I don't know. I don't know who you're gonna get unless it's another like grade A clinger, you know?
Yeah.
People just need their space, man. And he's dating like 30 girls at the same time. Like, what do you expect from a man? Like, ugh. It's like, have you never watched the show before? That's what I think sometimes when like you see these people and they have all these demands and they start crying all the time. It's like, have you like not seen this show before?
Yeah, like it's like
Like,
when
what?
girls are crying about him being in love with other girls, and it's like you signed up to date a dude that's also dating 15 other people.
Yes.
Like, what'd you expect, homegirl?
Right.
So we get her, Lace, and then Lace decides, you know what? If you don't love yourself, you can't love, the stereotypical. It like my tattoo says,
Right.
if you can't love yourself, you can't love anyone else, which is true.
It's very true.
Very true. So, so she decides to take off, and then we get a look at Jubilee. I liked this girl. She went to the military right after high school at 18.
Yes.
She was put up for adoption, I think. She lived in a foster home, or she lived in an orphanage for quite a few years, I think.
Like her job description is literally war veteran.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how much more badass that gets.
Yeah, right. So she had a really touching story, and she opened up to Ben, and Ben was really like thoughtful, and he called her a really strong woman, which is something you love to see.
Mm-hmm.
We love strong women. And they had a really good moment, but then like after the next commercial break, like we didn't see her at all anymore. It was like, oh, I guess he sent her home. Like,
I was like, what? Yeah.
I almost wanted to cover the fact that Ben had some interesting like decision-making skills here.
Yeah, he did. And I'll touch on that a little bit too towards the end when he decides to accept or to propose to who when it gets down to Lauren and JoJo at the very end, spoiler alert. But it's just like literally because all the stars were aligning one way. And like I think he went to bed and then just woke up and was like,
I'm gonna do this.
I want to flip a coin real quick.
Yeah.
Actually. And then I don't know. It was weird decisions.
Yeah, we'll get to that final decision there at the end. And then we get Olivia. Olivia is the girl that she's jumping out of cakes, and then she jumps out of a cake, and then she runs to him and is like, that wasn't me. And it's like
embarrassed about it. Yeah. I was like,
you just
it's like literally the highlight was she jumps out of a cake in like kind of a provocative outfit or something. I can't remember exactly.
Yeah, it was like
then gets embarrassed about it.
Yeah.
Like
what? He has like a heart attack, and it's like, she's like, oh, that just wasn't me. Like, that's just not me at all. And it's almost like, so then why'd you do it?
When I was telling my friend that we were recapping Ben Higgins' season, her only thing that she had to say about all of Higgins' season was Olivia got played out to be the villain, but she really wasn't the villain. She's actually really cool. That was all I was told about Olivia.
She seemed that way. I mean, and then he dumps her ass and then leaves her on that island.
What?
I mean, obviously she's not alone, but like
don't worry, ABC has 50 helicopters.
Yeah, it shows him like breaking her heart, and then he gets on the boat by himself, and she's just like standing there, and it's like that is so depressing.
Always like walk them to the car or something.
Yeah, it's like off frame. There's the tent where everybody's eating catered food, and there's a helicopter in the background, and ice sculptures and shit. I don't know.
Yeah, he had some really interesting people. I think there was one girl that they didn't really highlight on. Her name was Molly, and she was 37, I think. Let me look up what her job was. But let's see. Maybe I didn't get her name right. There was a girl on his season, and she was like 37. And I guess during the soccer date, Like she got super excited because she's like, I used to be so athletic. I played sports in college, all this stuff. And then she goes on this random route of talking about, oh, but like when I was in college and I played sports, I started doing like a lot of drugs and alcohol. So I had to stop. And so then, yeah, I kind of fell down like a dark path for a while. And then she's like, but that doesn't really matter because once you're really athletic, you're always kind of really athletic. And then she like goes on and on about how she's so excited about this date. And then I guess she goes to take a shower. And when she gets out of the shower, everyone's already left for the date. And she didn't make it. Like she missed the date because she was in the shower. And she starts freaking out, like literally freaking out to the point where like, kind of when we were showcasing Kaitlyn's season last time with Clint and JJ, I think the guy's name was, and JJ like slaps himself.
Yeah.
Like this is Molly. Like she was nuts. Like it was just ridiculous. And I was like, what is happening? And he kept blaming it on Amber, saying it was Amber's fault and Amber better watch. It was just ridiculous. And then, yeah, you got people jumping out of cakes. There was like some person that was like a chicken enthusiast, had like pictures of chickens.
Yeah.
All the time.
I was like, what's going on?
There was just some real wackos. It was nice to see that the final two girls were like very normal.
Very not weird.
Really not weird. There was a girl named Mandy who was a dentist, and she showed up out of the limo dressed as a rose. So legit as the first rose. And then during like the cocktail, I don't know if it was that specific cocktail hour, like right after during the premiere.
Yeah.
Or a cocktail hour later on in the season. But she starts like doing like an oral like hygiene exam for like a dental exam for Ben. Just has him like laying down. She has all of her tools out. Like, could you imagine, like, with these later seasons, there's so much of, like, stealing people. Like, they'll be like, oh, I'm going to go steal so-and-so from them talking, like, at every cocktail party. Could you imagine, like, walking in to, like, kind of steal the person away, and she's, like, 3 inches deep in his mouth with tools and scraping shit? Like, what is happening? Just so crazy.
Makes no sense. What's going on with these people?
Literally, it makes no sense. So there's just so much crazy stuff going on.
There's a lot of certified psychos on this season.
Yes, and they went to lots of crazy places like Vegas, the Bahamas, so on and so forth. But then they get to like one of the most boring places in the whole world, in my opinion, which is Warsaw.
Oh, yeah.
To meet his parents.
Oh, God.
Good old Warsaw, Indiana.
Yeah, right.
I've been there once.
Yeah, I think I've driven through it.
Yeah, not great.
Not great.
One of the biggest orthopedics things. One of the biggest orthopedic something factory. I don't even know. Companies in the country. I don't know. It's so boring and not really important that I don't remember any of it. But that's Warsaw.
Yeah, it sure is.
Where I guess for Lauren, so the final three is Lauren B, JoJo, and Emily.
Yes.
So he takes Lauren B on a little tour of his hometown, and then he takes her to go play basketball with George Hill and P. George, which are huge Indiana Pacer players, massive Indiana Pacer players.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? Like, you got Kevin Hart, you got Ice Cube, you got.
They blew their budget on this season.
You got P. George. Like, what do you need? Like,
they blew every dime they had left on this season.
Literally. And then he takes JoJo to like a Cubs game in Chicago, which really, like, Warsaw to Chicago is not that close. So I don't know how much you would consider that a hometown.
Yeah, I don't know.
Warsaw to, if I'm not mistaken, Warsaw to like Chicago is like a good 4 hours. Like,
maybe.
Close. I'm going to look it up right now, actually, while you talk.
Maybe it was just like the closest big city they had to, like, I mean, whatever. I don't know. Yeah, they did all that. And then Ben went on a really cute date with, was it Haley?
I think it was Emily.
Or sorry,
The other twin.
Emily's kids. And he met Emily's kids, and he was really nice about the fact that like kids don't scare me, which is actually pretty cool because most guys don't want to get involved with girls that already have kids
Right.
with another guy. That's drama that I'm sure some people don't want to get involved in. And just issues down the road, but whatever. We're not a psychology podcast. We see that he interacts with the kids really well, and it's actually really adorable. I like made a note that said like, wow, Ben interacting with those kids was stupid cute.
Yes.
And she was like, oh my God, I found my man. And then that night he like sends her home. This is what I'm talking about. This is like the decision making. It's almost like Peter. Peter like made the most outlandish, like, yeah, bye. And it was just like, huh?
Where it's like literally he gets them all the way up to, and yeah, it really is. I think Ben was a little in love with the chase. Maybe just a bad bit, because he basically got the person all the way up to like they were in love with him. And then he was like, yeah, so I'm just going to send you home now. Like you could just be like, hey, Ben, I love you. And he's like, I love you too. Okay, it's time for you to go home. Thanks for playing. Like, oh, and also a little corrections corner. I was wrong. It's 2 hours between Warsaw and Chicago, but still that's decently far to be considered a hometown date. In my opinion.
That's a little far, but I guess.
Oh, yeah. And also, while he was in Chicago with JoJo, he got jerseys made that had Mr. and Mrs. Higgins.
Yeah.
On the back of it, which is let's just round it all up. Well, I guess we should talk about this really quick. When he went to their hometowns and met their parents,
yes,
I guess it went really well for the other girls, but for JoJo, it started off really rocky because her ex-boyfriend left notes and roses on her doorstep. So when Ben got there, there was these letters and envelopes and stuff from her ex and flowers, and it's like, so what's this?
So do you got someone to tell me about?
Right, like what? Again, producers probably called up the ex-boyfriend and was like, hey, can you do something for us?
Yeah, exactly. Totally.
But yeah, and from what I can remember, I might have this a little mixed up, but by the end of those dates, like right before the final decision, Lauren basically told Ben that she loved him.
Yeah.
And he was like, I love you too. And then with JoJo, she was kind of talking about it, and he ended up saying like, I love you. And she was like, are you even allowed to say that? And he goes, I'm not. And so right there, we have a guy saying, I love you to two girls at the very end, which makes it very not black and white. It's very confusing on what he's going to do.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
very
a lot of controversy.
Yeah. So then he sends Kaitlyn home. After hometowns, she was really nervous. We saw a conversation she had with her mom about like, oh my God, I love him. And her mom was just like, you got to tell him. I mean, it's the only thing you can do. And I was rooting for Kaitlyn. Again, like I'm very out of touch with all Bachelor stuff besides Pete's season and a couple other stuff. So when I saw that he sent Kaitlyn home, I was like, what the actual hell?
Yeah, so Kayla, she made it really, really far. She was in the final three. It was JoJo, Lauren B, and Kayla. It's kind of funny, but not funny. Kayla, when she like met him during the premiere, like came out of the limo, she like ran and jumped straight into his arms.
Oh, I remember that.
Deal. Yeah, and she also got the first one-on-one date, which is really cool, where she met Kevin Hart and did all this stuff. So like she kind of took the heart of Ben very quickly, which goes to show that first impressions are so important. But Kayla, at the same time, when she saw Ben online, like when she saw Ben on TV, she like broke up with her boyfriend immediately.
Yikes.
Like because obviously they don't know who the Bachelor is going to be until after they do all the casting and stuff. So like during Kaitlyn's season, yeah, she just was like, all right, I'm going to break up with my boyfriend and I'm going to try really hard to be the Bachelor. And this is how it's going to happen.
Yep.
Which is nuts. But yes, she goes home, which ends us with our final two.
Lauren B and JoJo. I put that when he interacts with Lauren B, it's not the same like when he interacts with JoJo. I like at one point he's like, I think I'm falling for Lauren B, and then he's just like, I really care about JoJo. And I was like, he feels very strongly for them, but he feels strongly about them in different ways.
Yes.
Like, I think he legit loved Lauren B at the time, like legit. And his connection with JoJo, I don't know. I just didn't buy it. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard.
Yeah, it's hard to judge from our perspective. I mean,
it was hard. It was just rough because, like, if you're JoJo and, like, I think she had multiple one-on-one dates or had at least been definitely, like, one of the top people throughout had a lot of attention throughout the season. During the hometowns, you have him buying jerseys with Mr. and Mrs. Higgins on it. That's like the only like super out there thing that shows marriage, I think, which that's a little off-putting, I think. I think that's a little too far. I think the producers went a little too far with that one. But so that puts a lot of hope in there. You just tell her that you loved her and you kissed her. There's just like so much stuff in a line that's like, okay, he's picking JoJo.
Yeah.
And then he turns JoJo down. And then he picks Lauren, and him and Lauren don't work. I don't know how they break up later on, but he proposes to her. And it's just, I don't know. It was just confusing to me. And then JoJo, obviously, it becomes the Bachelor and her season gets talked about next week.
Oh, that's kind of cool. I think they're doing like a little train.
Yeah, right? A little domino effect down the thing.
Dominoes. Yeah, that's it. I didn't know that JoJo went on to be a Bachelorette. I'm excited to see what she goes through.
Yeah, I think she was one of the most loved Bachelorettes, so I'm very excited.
Oh, good. I am excited.
Recap her season because I've heard about JoJo for a while.
We can't not mention the fact that Lauren B is now married to Chris Lane, country star.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I went and looked her up on Instagram just because I was gonna like see like how big she was for the possibility of maybe reaching out to her and trying to see if she could talk to us or something. And she's married to Chris Lane.
What the heck? What is up with all these bachelorettes being like in love with country stars?
I don't know. I feel like I forget where Lauren's from. She's not from Nashville or anything, is she? Because if she's from Nashville or the South in general, she could have easily gone to Nashville and see Chris Lane perform, and he could have been like, oh my God, you're you. And she could have been like, you're you. And that could have been how it started. I don't know. But I looked at his Instagram and saw pictures of her, and I was like, I know it's been a few years, but I think that's her. And then like I went to her Instagram story, and it was like, oh my God, so excited to see all the support from the re-airing of The Bachelor. And I was like, yep, it's her. It's her. She's married to Chris Lane. What the hell?
That is so crazy. From what I can tell, why does this thing not show Lauren B? I'm just going to Google short search where Lauren B is from. I love Google. Hey, Google, can you please sponsor us? But yeah, that's crazy. She's from Portland, Oregon.
Okay, so not a connection there.
Not a connection there at all. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's incredibly, because I follow Chris Lane. I don't want to say I'm a fan, but I like some of his songs, and he I think they got married fairly recently.
Yes. So it says she began dating country singer Chris Lane in late 2018. They lived together in Nashville, Tennessee. They got engaged on June 16th of 2019.
Okay.
They were married in Nashville on October 25th, 2019. Among the notable on the guest list were the four of Lauren's fellow alums from The Bachelor, Amanda, Jennifer, and both the twins were at the wedding.
There you go.
And there is lots of pictures of her with Chris Lane.
Yeah, I mean, Ben's seems like a really good guy, but in a way, she kind of upgraded. I mean, she's dating, or
Is Chris Lane the one that sings the one country song about proposing?
possibly.
Oh, wait a second. Yeah, so he sings the song Big, Big Plans.
Yes.
I got big, big plans, blah, blah, blah. So the history of that song, which is like crazy, is he wrote that song and then he was at like a family thing. And he goes, guys, I want you to listen to my new song that I'm recording. I want to get your input. And so it's just like at a little family get together and he starts singing that song. And so during the part where it's like, and this is when she realizes that I'm going to ask her to marry me, like in his lyrics, that's when he got down on one knee and asked her to marry him, like at the family get together.
Wow.
So that's, dude, Lauren B has a life.
Yeah, she does.
What?
Shouts to Lauren B.
Yeah. So, every time I listen to that song, I just get like a little warm, fuzzy feeling knowing that happened. Because when that part hits, it's like someone's life changed forever during that little snippet of the song.
And now you know that person's life was Lauren B.
And now, yeah, it was Lauren B. That's so great. So as you had mentioned during this like episode of Bachelor's Greatest Hits, there was like a lot of interviewing people, like doing a lot of Skype calls, and one Skype call was between Kaitlyn and Dean, which are one of my favorite Bachelorette couples. They met during Paradise, and I don't know if you got to that point of the episode last night, or have any history of Kaitlyn and Dean. So Kaitlyn is like super sweet, super pretty. She was on, I believe, Colton's season of The Bachelor, and she kind of got a lot of attention because she was either sexually assaulted or raped in college. And she opened up to him about it, and he understood really well and comforted her really well. And then after that, she, I believe, started a movement for people that has gone through very similar things as she has. And so they go through all of that, blah, 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 blah. Super sweet girl. She's really quiet and stuff. She ends up obviously getting sent home. She goes to Paradise, and that's where she meets Dean. Dean is from other previous seasons. He's kind of like a rebel in a way, but he's very attractive. People call him Deanie Baby and stuff like that. He has like blue eyes and long hair and super free lifestyle. So like super attractive to most girls. And during Paradise, he either got sent home or decided to go home. Anyways, he was off the show. And so Kaitlyn's still in Paradise. He left, and they had like kind of a thing going. And anyways, he was gone. Dean ends up coming back randomly, walks up to Kaitlyn, and he's like, will you leave with me? Like a few episodes later. He's like, will you leave with me? Like, come right now, leave. And she's like, sure. And so she leaves Paradise to go with Dean. Dean doesn't have a house or an apartment. He's just living out of a van and just driving around. So she lives in the van with him and just travels around, and they both pick up photography. Like, their photography is phenomenal. And they just traveled in a van, did the whole thing. I follow them very like hardcore on Instagram. If anyone goes to Kaitlyn's Instagram, she has like this beautiful picture above her living room couch of like the two of them in the mountains. And it's so beautiful. Like, I want to remake something so similar so bad. There was one time where they were in Switzerland, right? Because they just travel and do crazy shit because they're influencers and have all the time in the world. So they were in Switzerland, and I believe Kaitlyn was either there or not there. I can't remember. I don't think she was there. I think he was there with like friends, and he was snowboarding, and he lost control and like broke both his legs and was like stuck in Switzerland.
Oh shit.
Had to get lifelined, I believed. And she just like then flew out to Switzerland and took train so she could get to him and help take care of him in Switzerland because he broke his legs. It's like, God. But
so much.
Yeah, so much. So they're like crazy, very crazy, interesting out there couple, which is so interesting because Kaitlyn is like pretty quiet and like reserved and has done all these crazy things. But during the episode last night, Chris Harrison asks about a ring that's on Dean's finger. So Dean has like a wedding band basically on his finger.
Yeah.
And he's like, are you trying to tell me like that you guys got married and didn't say anything to anyone, or like what's going on? And like Kaitlyn also has a ring.
Yeah.
And Dean was like, no, we're not legally married by the states or anything, but this is our way of telling each other like we're in this forever and we're in this for the long haul. So basically saying they're married, they just haven't actually gone to like a wedding chapel or anything. It's kind of like almost like engagement rings for the both of them. It's kind of how I look at it. And Dean was just like, I'm happy with just doing this until she tells me that she wants to go get it done for real. And if it's like when that happens, they're like, Chris Harrison, like we'll call you up, like you have to be the one that marries us, kind of thing.
I hear you.
But yeah, so cute. Love them a lot. They're very cute couple. But yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, that was most of last night's episode. I don't really have too much more. I can my notes.
No, that was pretty much it. I think we could be done.
Yeah.
Cool. Nice little quickie tonight, fam. Quick reminder, follow Kaleigh and I on Instagram, Kale's Tales, Logan Lewis 96, Binge Boys Podcast. Keep an eye out for all of our information and stuff on those accounts. Go on iTunes and Spotify and follow us, rate and review, as well as on YouTube where you're watching this, if you're watching this. Subscribe and hit the bell so you know when we upload. Kaleigh, I'm going to have Ben
Binge
out. Bye, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Bye. Bye.